کاوش مدیا.
But in 2015, the Israelis began to realize that there was a smuggling effort that was going on in Syria. And basically, the story is that the Iranians were trying to ship advanced munitions. I've talked about it actually for AJAC before. They're called PGMs, precision guided munitions. These are munitions that would enable Hezbollah, if they got their hands on them, to be able to hit multiple targets within Israel with incredible accuracy, within about 5 to 10 meters of the intended target. So when one begins to think about the fact that they could hit Dimona, or they could the nuclear facility in Dimona, or they could hit the chemical plant in Haifa, or multiple Israeli bases, and by the way, also be able to maneuver those munitions so that they could evade Iron Dome, you get a sense of why the Israelis identified the PGM threat as the number 2 threat to the country, second only to the Iran nuclear threat. There are additional clauses that the Israelis are wrestling with. One is that the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, which I understand from Colin, is not designated in Australia, but it is designated here in the United States, and it should remain so. The Iranians are making the demand that the IRGC, which really sponsors just about every major terrorist group in the Middle East, and we're talking about Hamas, Hezbollah, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, the Houthis, this would be a signal to other revisionist or rogue states around the world that America's not upholding the U.S.-led world order, that perhaps there isn't a U.S.-led world order, that perhaps, there was one at a time where the United States was the lone superpower and was willing to enforce the rules that it had set around the world, that if you violated certain norms, you would pay a price. And we saw it in places like Iraq or in the former Yugoslavia, in places around the Middle East for a number of years, Afghanistan, of course. Now, I think there are questions about America's willingness to remain on the battlefield, America's willingness to pay a price. And I'm not sure we see it right now, that I think the Arab world is trying to bring Assad in from the cold. They're trying to wean Assad off of Iran. And this has been a process that's been in play now for probably 6 or 8 months. I've not been very optimistic about the prospects of this. I do think that the Iranians are likely in Syria to stay.
آنچه در مورد ما میگویند.